Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. Today I'm here with Simon. Simon, it's Penson, right?
It is Penson.
I got it right the first
Well,
time. I was very reluctant because I want to say pension, but there's no I. Gotta make sure. Simon is a career digital entrepreneur, but he's also a former journalist like myself, which I thought was very cool. I thought that was kind of neat that we both went the journalism route first, and it was like, nah, let's go to digital. But the difference is Simon is now an angel investor. He has sold his company and he's now angel investing. But his whole idea is not just to invest money, it's also to help his investees, I guess that's the term, with advice and strategy, and be an advisor as well as an investor, which I love. Because a lot of times you can just throw money at a problem, but that doesn't always fix things. And I mean, you've been around the block a while, we're the same age, and it's makes sense to have an investor who gives a crap, pretty much, to put it bluntly.
Yeah, you're right. It's not about being smarter or better. It's just like, having lived through those things, right? There's super value in that, isn't there? Irrespective of who you are and what you're doing. And it's a big kind of purpose-led thing of mine now to find a few people to take even a little bit of that pain away, I think.
I love it because that's all I do. I feel the difference between angel and VC is angels give a crap, VCs just want the return.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, yeah, that's certainly been true of the past. Actually, I think.
I think some VCs are different, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that is generally, the financial investor will look at the numbers and not really care about the story, the people behind it, and the pains that they go through, right? And why should they? I guess because that's their job and role. And actually, I think if you're raising money, it should be your job to understand that and actually do a lot of DD on the people that are putting the money in, because there's very different types of money.
Absolutely. But so before you went into angel investing 2016, you were doing the digital marketing world. You're in the marketing world. You had a agency that was, I think it says here, up to 125 people, which is impressive. I mean,
yeah, we got bigger in the end, but yeah.
Really? Oh, 270. Ooh.
Yeah, geez. By the end, yeah, big business. Yes, well, you have to leave those things in the end because that's quite a burden to carry, isn't it? But yeah, we did. We had great
people. Were they all in the office? I mean, in 2020, I guess they weren't.
Yeah, pre-COVID. So we had more than one office by that stage. Obviously, we were UK based. We were London, Leeds, and Peterborough, and lots of people.
Wow. You see, it's me and three other people. I keep it small and nimble. I can't imagine trying to manage 270 people. I mean, you had other managers managing, obviously, but still, the buck stopped with you. So how did let's go back to the beginning. You studied journalism. You went into journalism. You worked for the magazines over in the UK, which we all know the magazines in the UK are better than the ones in the United States. We always look at them in the States saying, oh my God, why are they so expensive? Well, because they're so high quality. I mean, all the web design magazines back in the day, like there was a web design magazine that was like $20 for an issue. You can get it, you had to import it, but it was such a good, it was every time I could go to Barnes & Noble and get it, I pick it up and I keep it for like months and go through it and scratch through it. I always had a CD, remember those? Had a CD of tidbits of this, tidbits of that on that kind of thing. They always went above board, above and beyond for the magazines over there. So how did you go from from journalism to digital marketing? Like, how did that whole start? Like, how did this whole entrepreneurial journey start for you?
It's a good question. I think you kind of always got it in you to a degree, haven't you? And I was working in publishing. I could see that going a bit like that to print.
A little like that?
Audiences were migrating, weren't they?
Let's be honest here, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd been building my own sites, and I think through doing that, I taught myself how the internet worked a little bit, because it's sort of the late 90s, early 2000s. And through that process, really, it kind of could see the writing on the wall for print. And so, eventually those sites did well enough to build me a runway to leave the corporate world behind at 10 years in the corporate. Ran those on their own for 12, 18 months, sold those. They gave me then the runway to be able to build what became the agency business, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah. So we similar trajectories in the beginning, because I was doing websites on the side, and then journalism burned out. So like, this is not where I want to be anymore. We're in digital marketing. Makes logical sense. So you went into so you did the journalism thing. You went into the digital agency. What was the best thing about running an agency versus kind of doing your own thing on the side as like a hustle?
It's funny, isn't it? Because like the answer to this, I think, is like juxtaposed in some respects, because like in an agency by its very nature has lots of people in it. It's not just about you. And actually, the hardest thing often about scaling a business is the people aspect. Mm-hmm. I think certain people, and I classify myself as one of them, like really enjoy that challenge of people, and enjoy the challenge of culture and leadership and mission and all of those kind of things. And that was the difference, and that was the key driver for me. And actually, it's weird because when I exited, I ran away from agency a little bit. Didn't want to know anything about it because I was done.
Yeah, well, 2020. You got in. You got in like mid 2000s, and you ran it for what? You ran it for like 16, 17 years. I mean, that's enough.
Yeah, it's a while.
Enough. You can burn out from that. You can say I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah. So you do, and you kind of, but then you decompress and you miss. You understand what you're missing, and then you end up missing it, if that makes sense. And so that's why I kind of lent back in, through kind of advisory consultancy stuff, at least, because it meant that you could stay close to those sort of people and actually help them through that journey a little bit, and talk about
learn from your mistakes a little bit.
Yeah, like I've done that stupid thing, and this is what happened. And so if you avoid that,
and they kind of avoid it. They always kind of still do it themselves, though.
Yeah, there is an element of that, isn't there?
Exactly. I mean, I still dabble in journalism because I burned out. I miss it. I miss the whole idea of journalism and writing and all that stuff. And so like that's what I do. I have my newsletter. I have my podcast. This is journalism in a way, kind of thing. But I still do digital marketing as my main driver. So how much angeling do you do? Angeling. I'm coining a new term here. Angeling.
I know what you meant. So I started sort of angel investing probably about sort of 2015, 16, and realized through that process that, to your earlier point, that the most of that world was run by, people that, looked at spreadsheets and, were finance backgrounds. And what they really needed actually was the help to kind of grow, because actually you throw money at a problem and it creates a bigger problem.
Often does, because they just keep spending on the problem that is they're having. It's like, no. You got to change course first. Now throw money at it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And that was my experience. And I met some people that sort of shared the same worldview, started angel investing together, and then we collectively ended up sort of launching a sort of regulated fund that today called Hatch, which is a fantastic leading UK sort of early stage investor. So learned a lot through that journey as well.
So do you only invest in UK companies, or you venture across the pond? What actually, how about this? What's your sweet spot in investing? Is it other agencies? Is it cool startups? Is it like based products? I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm in that business, which is actually I've backed off. So I'm sort of no longer actively involved as of kind of this spring. But the business continues to do really well, and it really focuses on B2B SaaS, B2B software businesses, and predominantly in the UK. We're starting to expand into other areas. And I'm kind of spending the time that I was spending on that business now, kind of focusing on sort of later stage. So kind of working a bit with private equity, because my passion is really, going back to this kind of purpose thing of being able to really help. And so I wanted to have fewer, deeper relationships, basically.
Yeah, and concentrate more on the quality over the quantity, which makes sense. And also with later stage, I feel like, early stage, you get them before they make the mistakes. Later stage, you got to get in there and stop them from making the mistake, adjust. And sometimes it's like turning the Titanic sometimes. It's an iceberg kind of thing.
Yeah, unpicking it is the challenge, isn't it? But it's, like you say, you learn stuff, don't you? And, all of those kind of good things. So, just started that journey really. And, now do quite a bit of work with private equity to sort of also to help them, know what they're buying and buy the right businesses.
That's fun. Yeah. So what is the best? You did corporate, corporate journalism, which is, I think, sometimes worse than corporate. What's the best thing about being an entrepreneur in your mind? And then even what best thing about being an angel investor in entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think entrepreneurship is kind of in you, isn't it? In some ways, I think there are times where you describe it almost as an affliction, as opposed to, kind of something you have to do, and sometimes you question your sanity in doing it. But equally, it has incredible highs, doesn't it? Yeah, it has bad lows,
The
terrible lows.
dopamine rushes. It's real. It's real.
Yeah, it
So
really
it's
is.
depression.
And the angel investing piece, I think, equally, it's very rewarding because, you get the ability to, you can spot talent, you learn how to spot it faster and faster and more accurately. And, you can help them go on that journey, can't you? And, you can help them make fewer mistakes. And, there's a lot of reward, isn't there, in helping people get there. So they're quite different things, but equally rewarding, I think.
Yeah, it's great. I do a lot of startup consulting. I don't do the investing, but I come in, advise people on things and whatnot. And that, because I don't have the budget to invest per se. I sweat equity it in. I'm like, I
Yeah,
can give you all my knowledge, but there ain't no budget for me to give you money for this. Yeah, I'll give you my knowledge, which is what? 17 years of doing my own startup. It's worth something, I guess, that kind
it
of
is.
thing. So,
It
exactly.
definitely
But here's the question. And this is what keeps you up at night. Besides your kids.
Yeah, they're teenagers now, so that's certainly
Well, that keeps you up, I'm sure, because that's like what are they into now?
yeah, indeed. But it's a really good question now. I would have been able to answer that very easily, but over a long period of time, probably 5 years ago, right? Because there were many things that were keeping me awake at night.
Oh my God, can I imagine?
Now I think it's like it's picking the right opportunities, right? If that makes sense. In that, and I don't mean as in, like from a selfish perspective, but actually making sure that you're really, because you're a finite resource, and making sure that you're really lent in and using the skills and experience that you have to help the right people.
Yeah, I think it's totally true. It's like not getting in too deep on stuff. Like you're not saying, "Oh, I can help everyone." Yeah, you can probably help a lot of the people, but picking and choosing the right ones, making sure you get the right ones, and then they say something weird, and you're like, "Did I pick the right one?" Oh no, that kind of thing. So So what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time? That's gonna be, as woo-woo as you want to get. So the most important thing you carry with you all the time.
I would say it is that lived experience, actually, and increasingly an attitude that's like, say yes to every kind of opportunity to meet new person in a new place, right? Because I spent 10 years or however long it was, like head down, having to build something, and so my network was really actually poor. And so now I'm sort of, carrying around this kind of, yes, and see where it kind of leads kind of attitude a little bit.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed. It's been very liberating, actually.
It is. It's surprisingly liberating when you can kind of take a deep breath, step back, and just observe, and then say yes to the right things, and say yes to the wrong things sometimes. So, saying yes to the wrong thing is a fail, but nothing's wrong with a fail. A fail, you learn from your failures.
You do. And I think people, particularly in the UK, actually, I think the US, I think you over in the US there, I think you are better at that. I think the UK.
We fail constantly. Our whole country fails constantly. Come on now.
But that's what I mean. It's good, isn't it? Whereas I think it's kind of sneered at a little bit here in the UK. And, that is something that we should definitely get over because, entrepreneurism thrives where there's success and failure, doesn't it?
Yeah. Some of my biggest successes came from failure. And there's a quote right there. But literally, it's like, oh, that didn't work. Oh, if I did X, Y, Z, maybe it would work. Oh, it's working. Yay. That kind of thing. So that's always fun. So Simon, if people want to find out more about you, your investing, who the heck you are, why I had you on the podcast, why you're so cool, that kind of thing, where do you hang out most online? Like what's your choice watering hole?
Probably LinkedIn, it's the usual, isn't it? Now, I think, I used to spend a lot of time on Twitter as X now, and I think it's, gone a different way, hasn't it? So, yeah.
Oh, that's such a Britishism. Gone a different way. It's such a polite British way of saying it's a cluster F. Let's be honest, it's a cluster F right now. It's going to, I love that. It's gone a different way. That's beautiful. I love it. So LinkedIn, and they can also find you at Scaled.
Yeah, Simon.
Scaled.co.uk.
Yeah, Simon at Scaled.co.uk. But yeah, as I said, I'm really happy for people to reach out because always happy to have that conversation and say yes. So
I love that, man. I love that. I'm so glad we got to chat. You know, this has been a little long time coming. So this is awesome. And we will see everyone next time.
Thanks.
Beautiful.